We were both overstimulated. We were both overwhelmed. We were both hot, sweaty, dealing with a lot mentally. Like there's just a lot on our plate. It felt like, and instead of coming together, we were throwing the food. We were having a food fight, a mental food fight, with each other rather than trying to help carry each other's loads. As you're with this community of people, bringing all the baggage that they have with them, whatever's on their heart, whatever's on their mind, they bring that with them, hoping to just leave it there and say, I can't carry this anymore. I can't do it by myself. God, be with me as I walk through this. We turn in our burdens, we turn in our stressors, our anxieties, our overstimulated minds, and in return, we gain the armor that we can walk out that door with back into the battle. Not bad. I'm drinking a Bloom today. Not a sponsor, but could be. Raspberry lemon. Not bad. Say typically I would have just one energy drink a day, but when we were at church this morning, I got my son into his car seat and I set this on the roof of our vehicle. Hopped in, drove off, gonna have a good day, and I heard a big thump. I was like, what was that? It had fallen off the roof of the vehicle and rolled down the sidewalk, and I lost a majority of my drink. So I am tapping into another one and didn't want to open a full Ghost. So going with the Bloom today. It's pretty good. I recommend. Again, not a sponsor. Why am I hyping this up? It's good. I'll just say that. Today, I want to talk about a couple things that I learned about this week. By no means am I preaching at you, trying to tell you how you should live your life, what you should do. Just me kind of going through the motions of my life. Like I've said before, I'm just a man, just a human like any one of you watching, trying to figure out life, trying to be the best that I can be and trying to learn from my mistakes because mistakes, they do happen. And like I'm going to talk about today, it's important to learn from them. You know, it's not all a loss when we're able to learn from them. And a failure is it really a failure if you learn something from it? Is it really a bad thing if something good did come out of it? So just a couple things that I kind of want to talk about that I went through that I'm learning. I got three things here, but the first one is the gym. Obviously, we talk about fitness quite a bit, trying to be our best selves by getting to the gym, doing something difficult, doing something hard to start off our week or to finish our week, throughout the week, whatever it may look like. Each of us may have a fitness goal. For mine, trying to be able to touch my toes. Never been able to fully touch my toes, so flexibility, strength, just trying to learn some things like that. Trying to work on stuff like that. Shed a couple pounds here and there, but last week I wasn't able to go to the gym as much as I would have liked to because I had Caden. My wife is out of town for work, and so I was his. It was dad duty, full time dad duty during those times, and wasn't able to get a sitter, so I wasn't able to go. And um, I noticed like when I wasn't able to go, my body was just a little bit more wore down in a different way than you would think. I was kind of more sore when I got out of bed because I wasn't working it. And then when I tried to go do something or tried to work it, it was like almost more difficult. There was pain kind of resulting in the lack of working out. You sit down for too long on the couch and scroll on your phone. I was working on a wedding video for my cousin, so I was on my phone a lot. And you get up and you're kind of like, oh man, my body is sore from sitting in that position for that long. Or maybe you sleep with your neck on your pillow a certain way or head a certain way, or you're just laying in a position for a certain amount of time to where you get up and you're stiff and you got to oil up like you're the Tin Man on Wizard of Oz to kind of get everything pumping and going again and get into the groove. There's like pain resulting in that. Got to get back in the gym last week for, shout out CrossFit Grow with Sean and the gang over there doing some CrossFit stuff. And it's really high intensity. It's really good. I really enjoy it, but it's difficult during the process. It's painful. It's you're just completely depleting and exhausting yourself doing these workouts. We started with some front squats. I'm working on my form for front squats, so it's more looking like this. Doing a front squat. Did a bunch of those. It was like 30 reps over a certain amount of time at 75% weight. And then from there, we did this 6 times. It was lunges, like it was carries up here with dumbbells, and you do lunges back and down and back, And from there you do push-ups, whatever amount, the difficulty that you're doing. I did, I think, 10 push-ups, and then into 15 air squats, and then you start over again. You do the whole thing over again. And like the days after, I found myself sore and in pain almost. Crawling out of bed, you could feel those different muscles that you worked kind of screaming at you a little bit. But it's a different pain than when I didn't work out. And as I was thinking about this quote kind of came to me: work resulting in pain trumps pain resulting in work. So if I purposely, intentionally, if I think of like iron, or sharpening a sword, making a sword, you're pounding it down, you're doing the work, and you're shaping this thing into what it's supposed to be. There's going to be a little bit of pain afterwards associated with that, but that pain is much more sweet, and it's more purposeful than the pain of having it just lay there for a certain amount of time. Say you pick up that sword and you start beating on it without putting it into the fire, without intentionally working at first, it's going to break. It's not going to shape it the way that it's supposed to. Similarly, I think when I don't work out, when I'm not intentional with my fitness or even my nutritional intake, there's pain in nutritional intake when you're not getting to eat that cake, or you're not eating this amount of cake, or drinking, or whatever it is, ingesting all this stuff, because sometimes that can be fun when you're eating really good food and a lot of it, but there's a lot of pain associated with that afterwards. Whether it's gaining weight, whether your stomach is just upset with you, whatever the case, maybe you drink too much and all of a sudden you're throwing up, even though it was fun in the moment. The pain of refraining, the pain of maybe not eating as much or drinking more water than drinking energy drinks may be a little bit painful, but at the end, it's going to be well more worth it. Your body's going to thank you as a result. And this may seem simple, may seem like something you've already heard before, it's just really been something that's on my mind. I found myself trying to get out of bed and going, oh, I'm sore, but I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for being sore in this way. I'd much rather be sore knowing that I put in the work than be sore for not putting in the work, if that makes sense. That's been something that I really learned. I was thankful for the pain that I felt when I was trying to climb out of bed, knowing that pain felt better than the pain of being lazy and not wanting to move around, because we all have those moments. Another thing that happened kind of yesterday, super irritable lately. I'll be honest with you, kind of just struggling with that. Overwhelmed, kind of irritable. What's the word I'm trying to think of? I am overstimulated. Yesterday, my dog has a stomach issue right now. I don't know if it's just he's been anxious or what lately, but woke up and there was a big mess in the living room yesterday morning, and woke up again and there was another one this morning. So just to start your morning off with that isn't the greatest, to be honest. So yesterday we kind of started with that, and we kind of went throughout the day, and it's like 90 degrees. It's 84 today, high of 88. Yesterday was like 90. The day before was like 90. So we can't hardly even get outside. So I was just like irritable, overstimulated. We went down to my in-laws' kind of camping land, their property down on the river. There's kids running around, dogs everywhere. My son, his skin is really bad right now. He's eczema really bad. So the sun and the sweat doesn't help that at all. So it's one more thing. It's just like, oh my gosh, poor guy. And my wife and I started kind of chirping back and forth at each other. We're both kind of in this state of mind, and I was kind of cooking the brats. I had UFC fights going, and she came up and she was dealing with him the whole day. So bless her heart, she kind of chirped at me a little bit, like saying like, well, you're not even helping. You're just sitting here watching TV. When all reality, I was trying to cook up the brats. So I turned the TV off, and immediately my ego kind of got flared up a little bit, and I started to spit a little bit back at her, like, stop, like, leave me alone, whatever I said. Don't remember what I said. And then I kind of felt bad afterwards, and I was like, what am I doing? I'm struggling. Obviously there's the irritability, the overstimulated. It was hot. We were sweaty. We started off the day bad, and we kind of finally got everything kind of all packed up, and we'd kind of gone back and forth a little bit, even more, chirped at each other just a little bit more, and so I was a little bit off. And we get in the car, and in my mind, I'm thinking all the things that she maybe is thinking towards me. Like, oh, she thinks I didn't do anything all day. How dare she think that I was trying to cook dinner? I was this and that. And all this stuff's kind of playing in my mind. And then it just kind of clicked. Like, what are you doing? You have an opportunity to hang out with your family. It's summertime. Everybody's outside. They're playing in the water. Like, there's kids running around laughing. The dogs are there because all the people are able to be there, extended family. There's two huge Great Danes there, so it's a lot. You gotta watch out for the little one as he's running around with these two huge dogs running around. But the fact that those dogs are there is, it's because the family was able to come up. Everybody's able to be there. And so we got in the car, driving to Courtney's parents real quick to pick something up. And instead of continuing to dwell in this gross part of my mind where I was just so like self-centered, I decided to just apologize straight up right away. Looked over at Courtney and said, "Hey, it's hot out. I'm sweaty. There's kids everywhere. Caden's skin is really bad. I had to pick up my dog's poop this morning that was all over the floor." Like all these different things. I said, they're not excuses, but it's causing me to be kind of overstimulated, overwhelmed, and I kind of took it out at you a little bit, and I apologize if I directed any of that towards you, and just got it out there, got it off my chest that I don't want to carry this anymore. I'm getting rid of it. I am bringing it to you to say, hey, I'm sorry, so that I can lay this down. And immediately she's like, I totally get it. I'm sorry for my part of it too. I apologize. We kind of went back and forth at each other for a little bit for no reason. It was just little excuses. We were both overstimulated. We were both overwhelmed. We were both hot, sweaty, dealing with a lot mentally. Like there's just a lot on our plate, it felt like. And instead of coming together, we were throwing the food. We were having a food fight, a mental food fight with each other, rather than trying to help carry each other's loads and figure out what can we do to get rid of some of this stuff so that we're not throwing it at each other. And so that was a really cool moment, just being able to share that with her. And like God was like talking to me too, he's saying, hey, stop carrying this. Like you're irritable. You got these little things going on, but look at the beautiful things. Look at what you have. And we got home and got everything unloaded and went inside, and like I almost got emotional a little bit because I was like, thank you for where I get to live. Thank you for the family that I have. Caden was running around laughing outside. Like I got to run around with him for a little bit, and Courtney was there watching. We're all hanging out as a family, and it's like I'm so thankful that I was able to let go of that and ask for forgiveness for my part of this little bickering back and forth that we were doing, because it really just it freed me from that. It freed me from those chains. It freed me from that, again, gross place that my mind was when it was just self-centered and thinking about me, 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 me. Oh, she thinks I'm this, or she thinks I'm doing that, or not doing this or that. And when you just put it all out there, it leaves less for your mind to think and spin and kind of tide pool and quicksand. And it just puts it out there, calls it out right away, and you're able to move on from it. And so that was a really cool moment. It was a very freeing moment, and I want to encourage you, if you're holding on to something right now, if there's some kind of irritability within you and it's causing you to chirp at other people or say something that you wouldn't normally say, or maybe you did. Maybe you did hurt somebody intentionally, or maybe you haven't wanted to ask for forgiveness because your ego is too big. I just want to challenge you to maybe let it go. Maybe talk to them, say, hey, what's up? And, hey, I apologize for my part in this. And if they say, maybe they'll apologize for their part too, and you can go on with the day, and maybe they won't. But I think there's just such a freeing feeling. You're able to move on and focus on having a better day rather than dwelling on little things that just maybe don't really even matter. So I want to encourage you with that. And also, today I was trying to think of another thing that I learned, and I just was able to sit in church this morning and really be thankful for the opportunity to have a church that I can call my church, my place to go, my people. I go to Timberwood Church in Nisswa, and it's pretty big. I don't know all the people in there, obviously, and some may recognize me, and I recognize them in passing, and there's a lot of people there, and I personally, I could probably take a lot more time to kind of get to know more of them, and I hope that I do in the near future. But just being able to come together like that, people singing. We just had VBS all this last week, and we got to see a video of how it all went, and some of the kids led worship this morning with one of the songs that they'd practiced, and they got to do all the actions in front of the whole church congregation. So that was super cool, and being able to just sit there and go, there's a time carved out in my day in the morning, on Sunday morning, where I get to come to church. I get to learn how to be a better man through God's word, and learn how to be the best example that I could be for my family. And with the previous example that I had stated, being irritable, being quick to anger, and slow to thinking, and in peace, whatever that may look like, I was just quick to say these things that I probably shouldn't say, to do these things that I probably shouldn't do, just out of spite, out of ego, out of this irritability, wherever this was stemming from within me. I start to think about all the bad things that are going on in work, or all this or all that, and all of a sudden it kind of comes out on everybody else. When I get to sit in church and get to think about how I can grow as a man, I learn how to put on that armor that we talk about and that the Bible talks about in Ephesians, and I have it here. Putting on that full armor at God, because Satan, he's wandering around like a lion looking for anybody that he can devour. And if he sees me in a compromised state of mind, he's going to jump on that. He's going to go, oh, this is what Bailey's thinking about. Boom, we're going to get him. And he's going to freak out at her. He's going to freak out at them. He's going to lose his cool with his dog or his son, whatever that may look like. And he's going to ruin relationships. And yes, I want to single him out. I want him to feel alone. I want him to feel worthless for what he did. And when I'm able to sit in that chair at church, I guess pew, they're not really pews at Timberwood, but I guess you could still consider it a pew, a row of chairs. Either way, you just get to grow in that. And there's so much peace with that, just sitting there, being in that building, wherever your church is. There's times I grew up going to First Baptist Church and just being in that building, even now, when I was really struggling with some severe anxiety a couple years ago, that was just kind of crippling to me. It made me really not want to go to work. It made me really struggle. And on my way back from work, working nights, I would stop in the parking lot at First Baptist Church, just being in that parking lot next to that building. And I understand, like, a church is the people, it's the group, it's our relationship with God. It's the church can be anywhere, but this church was just a building. It was an empty building at this point, but there was so much comfort to just be able to be there and pray outside this building, knowing that just the power that's within it, the church body that's within it. So I was just really thankful for the opportunity to be able to go to church like we do. And it's not something that, I'm not forced to go. Nobody forces me to go. I grew up in a family where it was normal to go every Sunday. And so now to be able to take that on and go on my days off, on my weekends off, is something that I don't take for granted. Being able to sit there and go, this is what I want to be. This is what I want to do with my life. I want to find this group of people, like the verse that this whole podcast is founded on, iron sharpens iron, Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, one person sharpens another. So as you're with this community of people, like-minded individuals coming together, bringing all the baggage that they have with them into this building mentally, whatever's on their heart, whatever's on their mind, they bring that with them, hoping to just leave it there, hoping to leave it at the altar and say, I can't carry this anymore. I can't do it by myself. God, be with me as I walk through this. We turn in our burdens, we turn in our stressors, our anxieties, our overstimulated minds, and in return, we gain the armor that we can walk through or walk out that door with back into the battle. Ephesians 6:10 through about 17 here talks about the whole armor of God, and this is kind of right on par, right on theme with iron purpose. Obviously, the knight, you can imagine in your mind the knight, or yourself even, gearing up for this. Verse 10, finally, be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. For we do not wrestle against the flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Therefore take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand firm. Not just stand, but stand firm. Stand therefore, having fastened on the belt of truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and as shoes for your feet, having put on the readiness given by the gospel of peace. In all circumstances take up the shield of faith, which with you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. So it's pretty much just laying that out there for you. You put this armor on, and you're not going to be, you're not going to be unstoppable. There's still going to be things that are thrown at you. There's still going to be, it doesn't say you're not going to face any fire. You're not going to face the lion. You're not going to face the fiery darts of the devil. But it's saying if you have these things, you'll be more equipped to handle them. In doing so, you'll be this knight. You'll be this warrior for God, for his kingdom, that other people can look to, other people can look up to. I think of my son, and I want to be able to set the example, and I think the best way to do that is to gear up, to put on this armor every morning. And maybe that's something that I'm going to try to start doing, reading this every morning, studying it, meditating on it, to try to bring out the best possible version of myself to help other people. Because if I'm not, if I'm just wandering through this life, I'm going to be that irritable, self-centered, overstimulated, angry person that is at the the innermost of my being, that tries to come out on a daily basis. But we talk about we've done good at chaining him to the inner depths of our minds to prevent him from coming out. But putting on this armor, gearing up being ready for those things, I think is going to help, hopefully, help keep that at bay and to bring out the best possible version of who we're created to be, if not for ourselves, but for those around us. So those are the 3 things I kind of learned this week that I'm kind of working through. Again, I'm not telling you how to live your life or how to do things, but these are things that I'm actively working through, things where I'm falling short and I'm trying to grow myself. And hopefully you can kind of learn from it and apply your own stories or situations within these and hopefully learn from it. Going to the gym, I talked about how I was off for a week and my body was just kind of sore because I was laying around and wasn't doing a whole lot. But work resulting in pain trumps pain resulting in work. So going out there and working and being sore after the fact is much more satisfying than being in pain because of a soreness or a stiffness, and then resulting in more work for myself, putting more work because I'm injured or because I didn't stretch or I didn't think or prepare ahead of time. And that could be applied to any situation. You go to a meeting and you're not prepared for it ahead of time. Maybe you sacrifice time with, going to the movies or going out to drinks with your friends. You sacrifice that. Maybe that's a little painful. Afterwards you're like, hey, I put in the work to memorize, to study, to plan for this meeting, and I missed out on some things. There's a little bit of pain, but I'd much rather have that pain than knowing that, I didn't prepare for this situation and now I'm in pain and now it's causing me more work because I wasn't ready for it. So literally apply it to any area of your life where you think that would fit in there. But for me, it was literally at the gym. Forgiveness, swallowing your pride and just saying, hey, I was wrong and I am sorry. That way, in my mind, in those moments, I was thinking that my wife, and the story that I was telling myself was that my wife was upset at me, thinking that I wasn't contributing, yada, yada, yada. Well, when I apologize and say, hey, I was wrong, these were the areas where I was falling short and I apologize, it doesn't my mind can't say, well, this is how she thinks, because I already put it out there and I asked for forgiveness for him, and she did absolutely right away, and apologized for her part of it too. We were just irritable. We're both just having a day. You have those, especially when it's 90 degrees out. But just being straight up with the person. Hey, I apologize. I'm sorry. That wasn't me. That wasn't my best me, and I'm working on it. I'm growing. I'm learning. And then being able to be in church and be thankful for that. My wife was in the nursery. She was volunteering in the nursery, so Kaden was with her. So I got to, I was in the service by myself. Obviously, I'd love to have my family there, but being I was there by myself, I was able to really just focus and just kind of sit there with my thoughts and with God and with the sermon that was preached. It was actually preached out of like Deuteronomy, so I kind of feel bad that I didn't pay attention to that part as much. But it helped me really focus on just being there and what it is to set the example. Me trying to be the best possible version of myself is going to create an example that my son can follow, that other people can learn from and be there for. If we are our best self, if we're putting an effort to be the best possible version of who we are created to be, there's going to be a ripple effect, and it's going to affect a lot of people in the long run, because we're going to be able to respond appropriately in situations. We're going to be able to look for others who are hurting and not be so focused on our own self. So I encourage you with that. Be thankful. And maybe you don't go to church. I want to extend that invitation. If you're interested in trying it out, please let me know. You can, I'll let you know when I'm going to Timberwood. You can tag along. We can kind of work through it together. Or if you have questions about the Bible, again, I'm not a pastor. I haven't studied this. I'm not a professional on it. I don't make a living on it. But we can kind of figure it out together if it's something you're wanting to explore, kind of learn more about. But this whole armor of God stuff is so cool. It's in Ephesians 6, Ephesians 6:10. Check it out, kind of walk through it, and even if you're not applying it in a faith-based way, what does it look like to put on that armor for you in your life? What does it look like to be the best possible version of yourself? I say that a lot, but this is taking it piece by piece, breaking it down, going, okay, how can I put this into practice? Thank you again for listening to this episode. We are throwing ourselves in the fire here. This is just kind of the process of forging ourselves, and maybe that's kind of what I'll talk about, or what I'll name these little skits. Hitting the forge, or we're in the forge, or we're starting to, we're trying to find the beauty within this piece of metal. We're trying to shape it into a weapon, into a masterpiece. One step at a time. It takes pain, it takes time, it takes heat. It's a process for sure, but we can do it when we come together as a group of people, individuals, like-minded, learning and growing together. This is the Iron Purpose Podcast. Stay sharp, everybody.